Hello, Dr. Shannon PT here today with another episode of Need to Know in 5. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of play with our babies and our children. Play is how our children interact and engage with their environment and the world around them, and really how they learn how to interact with the world around them and also with each other. Play is also very critical for the development and the refinement of so many of the skills that we've talked about, such as their motor skills, their cognition, their communication, and their overall social emotional well-being. So today what we're going to do is start off by talking about a couple of the different categories of play, and then I'm also going to spend a little time talking about play groups. Our first area is non-structured play. Non-structured play is what our babies and infants engage in. That's the type of play that they start off with. It's really just about being on the mat, getting some tummy time, having a bunch of toys, and just having that opportunity to start stretching the arms and legs and moving around and engaging with the world around them. They're starting to learn that if they reach for something and they practice over and over again, that they're going to grab that toy. And now this toy might make different sounds or move differently or have different types of material in it that flashes and moves around when they move it. Then they're going to see the expressions that often are going to come from the families and caregivers, brothers and sisters that are watching them when they're starting to play and interact with these items. So even though the play might not be directly with another person at that really young age, they're getting that social emotional connection from seeing how the other adults, children in the room are reacting as they're playing with those toys and the facial expressions that are going along with it. So that's that kind of unstructured play where they're just kind of exploring their environment, different items, seeing what happens when they're interacting, and starting to try and understand a foundation of how things work and why they work, even at that really, really young age of being an infant. The next type of play is called structured play. This is when you have something that is organized in programming for a child to engage in when they're playing. So a really good example of this is maybe you have a set of blocks. And so with the blocks, you're going to ask the group when they're playing or the child when they're playing to build something. Maybe you ask them to build a house or a building or a car. That follows the lines of the structured play. You have one type of item and you're giving a little bit of direction or guidance as to how you want that play to engage in what you expect to see as a result of the play. This is also a really important play because this starts for a child to be able to understand that there's a beginning, middle, and end to something that they're doing, and starting to organize their thoughts, problem solving, coordinating, working together in a group. Maybe if they're actually sharing the blocks, then they have to decide who's going to use what pieces or what colors to build the building or the car that they're trying to build. So structured play is very important too. And as a child's growing up and developing, it's important for them to have the opportunity to engage in both times of structured and unstructured play. Of course, for a baby, when they're developing, it's going to be a lot more time of unstructured. And then as your child gets older, you're going to want to work in more of that structured play for that cognitive balance as well. So as they're growing through their development, they're really getting that mix of the two different types of play to stimulate their cognition and their social emotional well-being. The next type of play I want to talk about is indoor play. Again, for babies, this is the play that they're usually the most used to when they're starting out. They're inside the house, they're on a mat, they're in a play space, someplace safe where it's predictable and secure. So indoor play is what we call a little bit more of a closed environment. We know what's going on usually in the home. You're able to adapt for different things that are going on in the home to make sure that it's predictable and it's safe for your little ones when they're starting to engage in play activities. Also important to get your children outside to experience the outdoor play, right? Taking a baby for a walk or going to the playground with our children. Outdoor play is so important. And it's hard nowadays because everybody gets so busy with their work and school and running around to practices, but it's important to remember about just going outside and having that opportunity to be in nature and explore. That's where our senses really get a good workout. We get to see different things, smell different things, hear different things. It is so important for our children to have that opportunity to get out at least every day for a little bit, to have some fresh air and have that opportunity to get the outdoor sensory play that goes on out there. The last thing I want to talk about is play groups. Now, I oftentimes see a lot of families, they're going out and they say, we're scheduling to go for a play group. And then when I see the play group, it's usually the babies in their strollers or maybe still in their carriers, and the parents are, talking, interacting, and socializing, and the babies are still kind of confined in their different items of baby gear. It's really important that when you schedule a play group for your little ones that you're giving them the opportunity to get down on a play mat and play and interact with one another. Allow them that opportunity to reach out and touch one another. It's so cool to see little babies when they're watching each other and they're mirroring each other images and kind of exploring each other for the first time. So this is what's really important when we're having those early play groups with our children, because that's when they're learning these interactions with one another and how to appropriately act with one another as they're growing up. They realize how they're supposed to treat one another, learning social boundaries with one another and how to communicate with each other. Even though they're not talking, they're still learning so much from these interactions with each other at even such a young age. So when you guys are scheduling those play groups, just make sure that you're taking the time to set it up so the babies really are getting that quality time to play and interact with one another. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time on the Need to Know in 5.